Hello, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Thanks for joining us on TCM as we continue our month-long salute to the 100th anniversary of Warner Brothers. Tonight, we're looking at how Warner Brothers reinvented the concert film with a picture that won the Oscar for Best Documentary. 1970, directed by Michael Wadley, Woodstock, the director's cut. The 1960s, as so many of you experienced, represented a particularly turbulent time in American history. It was the Civil Rights Movement, Dr. Martin Luther King's March on Washington, the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy in 1963, Civil Rights leader Medgar Evers also in 63, Malcolm X in 1965, and both Dr. King and Robert Kennedy in 1968. But the decade also witnessed the passage of two of the most important pieces of legislation of the 20th century, Civil Rights Act of 1964, Voting Rights Act of 65. The Vietnam War raged on, sparking such committed protests that it likely hastened the end of America's participation in the war. Music played a critical role in both the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement. It seemed somehow fitting that the decade would end with a peaceful three-day rock and roll music festival attended by roughly 400,000 people on a farm in Bethel, New York. The festival had originally been planned for Woodstock, New York, and that initial name stuck. Major rock stars lit up the stage: Crosby, Stills and Nash, Jefferson Airplane, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Santana, Joan Baez, The Who, Sly and the Family Stone. With so many incredible artists, director Michael Wadley's original idea was to make a 6-hour documentary to be screened on college campuses, an audience he knew would love the film. But Warner Brothers wanted a wide release, which required a much shorter runtime. It landed at 3 hours. Tonight's director's cut includes 45 minutes of additional performances. We'll also see setup for the festival and hear from young people attending, as well as the locals, including Max Yasgur. Yasgur owned that dairy farm in Bethel, New York, that saw 400,000 people descend on it. As one happy local said about the festival and the crowd, this thing is too big for the world. From Warner Brothers, 7 Arts in 1970, edited by Thelma Schoonmaker, who earned an Oscar nomination for her work. This was prior to her becoming Martin Scorsese's editing collaborator for decades. This is Woodstock, the director's cut.